I'd like to call this special meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge led by Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte.
We'll say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When you put the flag that away, every time I look at myself backwards, oh, yeah.
I just don't look at myself, Mr. Mayor. Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas.
Present.
Councilmember Brooke Marcotte.
here.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard.
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter.
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Johnson-Reed. Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Is there any public comment tonight on this special meeting? I don't see anybody here for public comment. We'll move on to item 2A.
Discuss and consider options for the proposition to be included on the October 14th, 2023 election ballot for the millage renewal to be used as a dedicated funding for road maintenance in the city of New Iberia.
All right. Thank you. So our point tonight, we have Jason here to help us, and our point tonight is to, I'm gonna explain what we're doing.
Okay.
Our point tonight is to word this proposition as best we can. We had some criticism last time that it was too broad. Y'all know it missed by 133 votes, so what we want to do is narrow it down as much as we can, work on it together in a public setting so that people understand how and why it's worded like it is. You had a question?
No, I was looking for the wording, but you
Okay,
explained it.
we don't have it yet.
That's what I'm saying. I thought-
So I'm gonna call on Jason and he'll get us started.
Okay, well, thank you. Hearing loud and clear some of the comments that have been made, we have talked about various things to do with the proposition. I didn't bring it printed out for all of you because I think there's some discussions to be had. There are a number of things though that you'll want to be clear on. First of all, and I realize there's nobody behind me with the public, but just to be abundantly clear, 6.83 mils is the amount of tax currently being levied by the city to pay its outstanding general obligation bonds. If the tax is successful, those bonds can be paid off, freeing up that 6.83 mils. Because by the Louisiana Constitution, that tax can only be levied to pay debt service on the outstanding general obligation bonds. So if there are no bonds, if it is paid off, then that tax can be redirected to another place, but only with the approval of the voters. So the goal of the proposition is to redirect that tax that's currently being levied on all property subject to taxation within the city, with the goal that if your tax bill is, let's just use a cumulative number, and I've actually, I've got the number from last year. If your tax bill within the city last year was, the city's tax was 22.96 mils. Now that's added to everything else, of course, but the 22.96 mils levied by the city. That includes 6.83 mils for the payment of debt service. Next year, your tax bill would be 22.96 mils. It would include 6.83 mils instead of to pay debt service on something you already have gotten and paid for. Instead, that 6.83 mils would go to road construction and road improvements. It's just a simple swap. It's using the funding that is already in place that can be redirected to the other place, and this other place is, as I said, road construction and maintenance. So what we'd propose in a couple of things is for starters, the last proposition began in 2023. Obviously, this has to begin in 24 because that's just the timing of it. But really, the last proposition was for the purpose of constructing, improving, and maintaining public roads, streets, and bridges, including drainage works, landscaping, and other improvements associated therewith, and acquiring access and rights of way for each of the foregoing. Understanding that can be a little bit complicated for somebody who doesn't live with this on a regular basis like you and I do to comprehend. So actually, we would propose really defining that purpose a lot more, a lot stricter to just being for the purpose of constructing, improving, and maintaining public roads and streets in the city. So we're getting rid of
Much
bridges.
simpler. Yeah, we don't own any bridges anyway,
And
so.
landscaping.
So
And
we're getting rid
landscaping,
of
we don't need to do that.
landscaping, drainage, and other improvements associated therewith. And I think that hopefully, really by drawing that purpose in a much more narrower, much more narrowly in the proposition, we would have that will take away some of the confusion surrounding what is the actual use of the tax. That way somebody doesn't say, well, they're going to go spend, $1.3 million each year on planting flowers.
And
That's
that's it.
obviously not the
And
intent.
the desk on the sidewalk, I had more than one person tell me, we thought you would do landscaping, we meant that it was hydroseeding at a road. I know what we thought it would have been used for, but I had at least two different couples tell me, well, when we saw landscaping in there, we said, well, that's just flowers and plants, it has nothing to do with roads.
Yeah.
And there is probably a healthy distrust of public officials. Anything we've ever done, we've dedicated, just like this would be a dedicated tax only for that. But there's always a healthy distrust, and our community has a good dose of that. So I had quite a few people, what bridges were you going to build? Where were you, just asking questions that we put it in there in a way that it was fair for them to ask. So I like the simple version.
Fewer words are better.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We agree completely. Just in that same line, previously we actually spelled out 6 83/100 mils, and we would propose just to use the numerical value 6.83 mils now. I think that's,
Yeah.
we want to restrict as much potential for confusion as we possibly can. I will note, as I read that revised proposition, it did add 3 words, in the city, which we felt was implied. Although there is, there could be an argument that those taxes could be used outside the city, even though levied within. We are restricting it now to being used for roads and streets within the city, solely within
Fine
the city
with that.
limits.
Fine with that.
Yeah. The couple of things that we want to just kind of throw out there as possibilities. We've struggled with a way to go back to and try to explain within the proposition the thing that we talked about at the beginning, that this is really a tax swap. Our hands are tied with the title of the proposition, and that we can't call it a renewal or a continuation or an in lieu tax. It is per the regulatory construction that has been promulgated by the State Bond Commission. This is a new millage. We can't get away from that because it is their regulations. But one thing that we can propose to add at the bottom is that 6.83 mils will be reduced by whatever amount is levied to pay general obligation bonds within the city or of the city in any particular year. And that amount that was levied last year was 6.83 mils. And that is, it does offer more words, and I know we're trying to work against that, but it does at least start the process of explaining within the proposition that you've already got a 6.83 mil tax out there. We're asking you for another one, but it's not going to be duplicative. This other one is going to be reduced to the extent that you levy anything to pay general obligation bonds.
No new tax burden. 4 words. We can't get that.
Can't put that in.
Okay. Just thought I'd
Sorry.
ask.
It is not, but we
Okay.
can't
I
put
just
that
thought
in.
I'd ask. I like that. I think that it does add some words, and I want to make sure it doesn't confuse people, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Most voters, when they go in a booth, they're not gonna read a whole totally long proposition. So I think the shorter you are, the better chance we have of them fully understanding what we're trying to accomplish, and I think I'm all for that proposal, absolutely, in the way it's worded. I think it's a fair synopsis of what we're trying to do. I mean, as we go around town as elected officials, the number one thing we hear is roads. What are you gonna do about roads? What are we gonna do about roads, So as an elected official, here we are having to make a decision to try to accommodate our constituents in what their needs are. And roads is one. So we already did one program, and it's been very successful. And this is an opportunity for them to make a decision on their own if they want more. And I think we're doing beyond what we should be doing to accommodate our constituents in new roads. And this should get the job done, I would hope.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
And so, the millage currently was to pay off the sewer, plant, correct? Like it wasn't being used for anything else?
No.
Okay, because I did have someone ask about that today, actually, with the Acadian Acres sewer issue, saying that they wouldn't want to vote for the road tax because they want their sewer fixed first.
Right.
And
but
it's like, well, that is underway right now.
can't hold us hostage, and please remember, we're spending 11.9 million this year alone on sewer, and much of it to help the people that you represent and just talked about in Acadian Acres.
Right,
I can only move so fast.
right.
know?
But they are starting. I got with Vince, and all that road work that's being
I know.
done right
That's
now
part of
is
it.
the sewer, so.
Yeah, so I mean, they have to see that we,
There's
all of
progress.
us, there's
Yeah,
progress.
There's progress.
And your
yeah.
drainage project's coming too. We had a meeting about that today, but can't talk about anything else but this today. But
Okay.
anyway, things
Yep.
are coming.
Yep, that I was just wanting to make sure that that's what it was for.
Yes.
The sewer plant.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
And not only is that what it was for, it again can't be used for anything else. Just because it was for the sewer plant, we can't then just continue it and levy it for sewer because the bonds will be paid off. So that's what we're trying to
Right.
get out in front of, is those bonds being paid off and us being able to push it to a different spot. The sewer is I would venture to say a relatively healthy system financially right now and can pay for its improvements through other sources.
And that's the only reason I brought up that money. We're
Yeah.
spending 11.9, so we don't need it for sewer. We need it for roads.
It's real hard to make money off of roads.
Yeah, there's no way
Unless,
to make
unless
money
you toll
off
up
of
a
roads.
lot of things. So
Right.
Right.
I don't
I
don't
don't think
see
a
I don't
toll
see
road
that.
would do very well in your area.
I don't see that on the agenda. So
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Broussard.
On the ballot, the main thing. You already said it's gonna be last on the ballot,
yes, sir.
12, 15 things by the time we get to it, the ballot in November. It's hard to get the people keep interested into getting to that last amendment. And we have to sell it hard. And we trying to tell them the truth that it's not gonna be a new tax, but you just got us mixed up a little bit here of how what words we can use to sell it. That's we're legal telling the people that it's not a new tax. It's just a renewal, but we can't say that word you're saying. So I'd like you to educate us a little bit on what we can say legally to the people. We don't want to falsify anything.
Right.
We want to get all this out.
What he does on the ballot and what we do with our campaign that informs is two different things.
Okay.
So
So make
our
sure
signs will be able to say 6.83 mils, no new tax burden.
That's good.
We'll
wanna
be
make
able
sure.
to do that in the money that y'all allocated for
I just
education.
want to make sure we're
We'll have a
clear.
PAC too, because people are already calling me and want
Yeah.
to join the PAC again.
Yeah.
So we'll have a PAC that asks people to vote yes. But in our educational stuff,
Yeah.
we'll be able to clear that up.
I'm
May,
glad
may
to
I
hear that.
may I clarify? There will be a PAC, not will.
Yeah,
have
we don't
a
have
PAC.
one yet, but.
Yeah, well, and not will have a PAC. The city will not have a PAC.
Correct,
There will
correct.
be.
No, private
There
citizens
will
will
be
have
a
a
PAC.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Just want to
I
be
just
clear.
meant a PAC would be formed, but thank
That's
you
a
for
better
that.
way to say it.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
So, ready?
Yes, sir.
So I think what Mr. Broussard is asking,
you
and, oh, I'm sorry. And to clarify, Jason, maybe you want to clarify it. I think he want to know what he can say verbally to the constituents. He can explain all he wants. He just can't say yes or no, vote yes or no.
Well,
right?
no. See, I
that's what I'm
think
asking.
I
That's what he
think
was
for you as individuals, as elected officials, you actually have more freedom to talk about an item on the ballot than you do to pay for materials with public funds. And that's a key distinction. There have been a number of ethics opinions, attorney general opinions throughout the state over the years, and I'll let Jeff, if he has a different interpretation, understanding, I will certainly yield to him. But there are a number of those that essentially say that even if you're a salaried elected official, just because you're salaried, that doesn't mean that you're restricted from being able to discuss an item on the ballot and advocate for it where you want to. It can't be your sole job, but it can certainly be something that you can do in the context of the rest of your duties. In other words, at some point in time, you have to be able to shed your title of a public official to be able to, speak frankly. You have some First Amendment protections there.
Why do we have to be put last on the amendments? Can we push it up any kind of way, or is it better being last? Because, man, that's a long, by the time we get to November, they have a lot of them want to be putting stuff on there. It
So
could be 15th on there or something.
yeah, so we're actually talking about October, and just to be completely blunt. Well, first of all, it's the Secretary of State's job to determine the order of items on the ballot. We know that all the statewide elections are going to come first with the House and Senate elections. So everybody that goes to the polls is going to have, that's going to be 8 right there, because 6 statewide elected offices, they're all up this year. Your House member, your Senate member, state House, state Senate, plus parish president, plus probably most likely your parish council member. There shouldn't be much else in the way of candidate elections, but then you have the constitutional amendments, and we have a situation where you have a number of legislators this year that are term limited and are pushing through, or at least trying to push through, a lot of potential constitutional amendments because it's their last time to do so. So I mean, there's a chance that this will come before constitutional amendments. It may. We just don't know until we get there. So part of the voter education is going to have to be continue pushing all the way to the end of the ballot, unless you're going to vote no. Continue pushing all the way to the end of the ballot, and then don't forget how important all of the elections are. So
Can we? I'm next. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All I was gonna say, will it be dead last on the ballot?
we don't know. We don't.
If it
It'll
was
it'll
gonna
be
be-
down there. We
If
just
it
don't know.
would be dead last, we could just
We
tell
could
them,
promote that.
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's my question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my next question.
It would be last, you're right.
vote yes
Well,
on the last.
at this point, we don't know, but we will know before. I mean, there will be sample ballots out, a month or two easily in advance. So we'll know at that point. We just won't know going into it.
We'll both bring
Won't
up
know
a
it.
good
We
idea.
don't know now.
In our marketing, wherever we land, we need to promote that.
No, that's right.
Instead of making it a negative, we need to make it a positive.
Marlo
That
can
Second
sing at
Amendment
last.
thing was long. Ms. Ledbetter, that Second Amendment thing was long, but it was a very simple message that they had out, and it passed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Last in the ballot, first in your heart. Help us fix our roads. We'll come up with something.
I would love last on the ballot, cause we can.
Yeah, you can
No,
promote that.
no.
you
You
know?
could really
But
tag
what
it.
people, me and Mr. B talked the other day, what people usually do is they either vote yes all the way down or no all the way down. And I think more people vote no all the way down, because they don't know what they're turning down or turning up.
Yep.
It's up to us to educate everyone, though, like
Yes.
simplify it.
Well, that's why we have a budget this time, and that's exactly what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
But I think this is the first step to iron out how simple we can make it, and, you
yeah.
know, the
Less-
least landmines
less
we
is
can put
better.
in it that somebody would mistakenly misinterpret.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or if they don't like taxes, misinterpret on purpose.
Right.
So, anybody else? Anybody?
Did we talk about term? Do you want to talk about term or?
I haven't really finished running the numbers. I mean,
Okay.
what we did last time, we did it for 20 years. And that's our choice, that we could do it for 20 years again, or we could do it for 10 years. That's kind of the two numbers.
That decision has to be made prior.
It needs to be made by next Tuesday, when you actually will adopt the election,
Well,
calling the
That's
election.
prior. The answer to the
Yeah.
question. Okay.
And I'm really fine either way. I mean, we fixed the city up for the 20 years, you get two times at the back. In other words, with looking at the interest rates, the way they have raised up, and these are, preliminary figures, but we would probably be able to borrow 13, 14 million to put into our roads. And then either we're done in 10 years and it's paid off, or the next mayor could do it again if it was financed for 10 years. You know, when you look at our road issues, I always quote this because it's pretty simple. 20% of our roads were good. We're addressing 20%. That leaves 60%. You know, so we can get to another maybe 30% of our roads. I mean, that will be more roads that we will have addressed as a mayor and council than, you know, every other mayor did one road program and that was really it. So we already are doing the largest road program, but it was 14 or 15 years between road programs, okay, which is part of our downfall. So if we could hit this again, that we do, let's say, another 30%, well, then we're really setting up the next administration to, you know, be able to continue. So if you do 20 years, the next administration picks up the ball. If we do 10 and say, okay, you know, if this is all the voters can approve for us, we can all hang our hat on that we did more than any other while we were sitting here. And then they'll just have to pick up the slack. You know, the new mayor and the new council after us will just have to, you know, pick up the ball and run with it themselves. But that is the choice. Yes, ma'am.
If we would do the 10 years, would the wording be renewal then, or would it still be the same as we're doing now?
It would still be the same. It would just have a different
Indeed.
length of time contained within the proposition.
Oh, okay.
So as we sit here, we have
I'm
to
good with 20 years.
Yeah, well, as we sit here, we decide, do we fix the roads for the big picture? Do we say that, yes, while we sat here, we will have fixed 20% or 30% more, but we've set up the next mayor to fix another 20%? Or its cost rise probably 15% by then. But in other words, then in our term, in our tenure here, we really did something for the long haul. But it's just a choice. Yes, sir.
So my thoughts are, you know, with the palette of the constituents now in the voting body, I think the shorter the term, the more trust they got in government. I think that you give me 10 years, let me prove my point. Let me prove to you that I'm gonna do what I can do in 10 years with the money you're giving me. And instead of sometimes what I hear on the street when you go for 20, well, you know, I'm voting for 20 years, a long time before I get to make another choice. So I'm just, if I think it's, in my opinion, and that's only in my opinion, I think if we go to a shorter span of time, probably less money, right, Jason? 10 years versus 20 years, you know, less overall money, and I don't know exactly how much.
Yeah, one bond issue instead of the next mayor doing one, too.
I think you possibly, in my opinion, can sell that a little bit better on a shorter term. Say, look, here, I'm asking for 10 years, a renewal on a millage, and I'm gonna prove to you guys that we can get what we promised you get done in the next 10 years.
Yes, sir. Councilman Broussard.
I'm with you, Rick. I think to sell it, we have to watch our second shot. We might have a better shot at 10 years selling it to the people. Let's get this thing done and we have at least that many more roads done. Maybe not all of them, but we'll have pretty many done in 10 years. So I think it'd be a good selling point to the people. That 10 years we're gonna hold you hostage for this money. And, you know, please help us out.
Not hold them hostage, it's a partnership.
Partnership, that's right.
Partnership.
So,
Anybody who hadn't spoken yet? Yeah.
okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think the 10, I think the length may be catchy, but when you were sharing about building for the future, if you can, you know, promote that, and that we're not just a selfish council and saying let our council look good, but that we're trying to build a city for the future, the 20 may be a good idea. That, because I mean, roads are gonna always be a problem.
Yeah, we're not
So
gonna get to all of it.
I get the 10, it sound catchy, but then the 20, depending on how many people you reach on that level, the 20 sounds more like you're investing in your city for your constituents. You're going after 120 one time for a long time. I mean, even for us, because some of us might not be here 20 years from now, so you're able to see, we'll be able to see, you know, 20 years of road repair. So I personally, I don't know. I don't know if it's 20 versus 10 is our problem as much as just getting them to understand, vote yes for, because you're gonna put the same burden on the mayor from 10 years down.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah,
put the
certainly.
same burden. So can we help our city for 20 years as opposed to, you know, one thing I learned about being on the council, we're not building for us, we're building for the future
Oh, that's right.
of this community. So
Look how long it takes to get something done. It's, you know, it's all for the future.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that.
All right. Did
Okay.
anybody not, did you speak on that? Do you?
On the 10 to 20?
Yeah. You don't
I
have
did,
to, I
but-
was gonna go
Well,
back
I
around the
did kind of want to
table.
chime in. Like, I personally can accept the 20, and I think it's a great idea, 20 years. But like Mr. Ricky said, will the people accept it better if it says 10? You know, sometimes people are like that, you know, shorter term they can deal with. Longer term, they're like, oh, I don't know. You know, I don't know if we can trust that. So I would love to see 20. I really would. But will 20 go through? You know?
That's why we're here tonight.
I know, it's just so kind of, you don't know what to do.
That's fine.
Yeah. That was my 2 cents.
Ricky had his, well, both Ricky and Deidre had,
Yeah, I just wanted to say, we were considering 25 years on another issue that we had no control over, the pricing or anything like that. But now we saying that 10 years is a good deal for this one. Well, we have control over this. You know, and our administrators to come, the administrations to come will have, you know, power over this also. It's not like the other contracts and all that we were talking about. But y'all were willing to go to 25. So why not the 20? And have something that the next quite a few administrations will be able to continue with, you know, with the roads and all. And that's something that we can actually see and deal with.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So Jason, the millage bond, the millages that we're replacing for the sewer plant, that was 20 years, correct?
It was actually multiple 20-year tranches.
Okay, so,
Yeah, listen.
so my thought is to this council is that if you're going to sell a proposal to your voters, if you have the opportunity to sell them, say, look, we're replacing this with a multiple 20-year millage and we're reducing it to a 10-year at the same rate at no new cost to you, don't you think that's more palatable to somebody that, hey, you know, you're coming to me and saying, hey, you're reducing my terms, I know in 10 years I better make another decision based on what I see. Before we had a sewer plant, you know, at two 20-year terms that's been sitting out there. So you are reducing something. You're giving a little instead of going back to the same thing. Maybe something more we can sell.
Yes, sir.
And I own a barber shop. I don't have to do much negotiation. I tell them what my price is, and they either take it or leave it. But I think too much negotiation ain't good. It's too much language to have to go back and tell them, look, we're giving you a deal though, 10 years. I just find that in business is kind of weak. We're giving you a deal this time. You know.
Okay.
No, we asked for the 20 years. We asked for the big bang, and we just expressing our opinions. That's why we meet.
Yeah, that's why we're
You
here.
know, we asked for the big bang. And another thought I had, when you get with the small groups of the rich people, I think you can sell them, because all rich people like to leave stuff for their children, right? You're not necessarily leaving a tax burden for your children. You're leaving them a plan so that their children can drive on better roads. You sell that to them. I'm just,
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's
so
why
it's
we
just,
here.
it's just a thought.
That's why we here.
Let them ask about the 20. I mean, they're gonna ask. Start talking now. Let them ask. Of course, it's gonna be done by Tuesday. That's not gonna.
Yeah, well, we might be done by tonight, but probably done by tonight, but.
We're gonna get another chance at this.
We won't. We
We're gonna
won't.
get another chance
We
at
won't.
this. So
And
this
this,
is a-
that's why this,
and
it's a
I
very
value all
important
y'all,
issue and a single focus tonight, but that, you know. Mr. Broussard, had your hand up again? Are you-
Before I give up,
Yeah, sure.
what was the
Go ahead.
consensus of the, what was your thoughts on 10 versus 20 in the beginning? What was your thoughts?
I ran the numbers and thought we were gonna do 20. And I'll be able to say, okay, we're gonna do 13, 14 million this time. I don't know what interest rates will be next time, but let's just say that was another, I never like to oversell. You know, the next time, maybe it'll be 10 or 12 again because of the interest rate. But over the long haul of the next 20 years, 20-something thousand, 20 million, 26 million will be spent on our roads. And then for me, because I'm the percentage guy, I can't get that out of my head, I could say what percentage of roads we'd get done and how much would be left for, someone to decide after. Because what I'm trying to do is fix all the roads. That's all I care about. Is when you're on an issue, you try to fix as much of it as you can. So I was thinking of the 20 years, sold it. The 10 is interesting, though, I'm gonna be honest with you, because, you know, we are going back to depends on how you wanna look at it, and that's why y'all all making some really valid points. But we're going back to the voters for the second time, okay, which is pretty unusual. But we only lost by 133 votes, so basically you can say it was 50-50. So there is some validity. We wanna make sure it passes, okay? I will agree with whatever this council decides, okay? And the fun thing tonight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I won't have to break a tie, okay? That doesn't happen very often, okay? And I really don't care. I don't mind voting. But however it comes out at the end of the day, I'm thrilled to do this either way. To have the chance to go back to the voters one more time, to do more of the work we're doing, that's all I really care about. And I value everybody at this table's opinion, so I'm gonna go with either one, but I'm like y'all, I wanna make sure this passes. I don't think we get a third shot, okay? What we get is this shot, and it's very unusual we've taken a second shot. But I know we're not gonna get a third. So my original intention was 20 years again. But y'all bring up good points for 10 as well, that it, you know, maybe it would be a better selling point.
Right.
You know, but I always try to look long term. This is not a sprint. You know, nothing we're gonna do, as slow as our government moves, and as fast as we try to make it move, we're not in a sprint. It's all in the long game, you know? So I'm good either way, but we do have to make that decision.
And I think we all agree, we have to do something different.
Yeah.
Whether it's the term,
The language,
Either,
you know,
something.
language, the term, we have to do something.
Can't go the same thing.
And I think that spending the money we've allocated to educate is gonna be huge. The private citizens forming their own PAC to, try to persuade, that's awesome, and we have to have that. But I think the money we're gonna spend to educate, and I learned a hard lesson last time that people just thought, well, it's not a new tax, there's no new tax burden, this is gonna fly through. And I went to all the civic groups, it's not just me, you know, we all did stuff. We had a few things on Facebook, we went to civic groups, we went to meetings, and thought that would be enough. Well, the lesson we learned is that wasn't enough, so this time, I definitely am blocking out scheduled time and you know, gonna ask y'all to do the same, and we are gonna have to ramp up our efforts to make sure that it gets out there as best it can. But I think that money and a campaign of education is gonna go a long way too, regardless of what we do. So we are doing something different. The wording will be different. We have an education piece we didn't have before. Whenever the private citizens form a PAC, I'm sure that they're gonna realize that they need to do something different, to make it pass. So I think we're coming with something, that is different regardless of if the term is the same or not, Yes, sir.
You need 4 votes.
Okay. Oh, yeah, tonight, because of the way we situated, we have 2 people
You need
missing.
4 votes. So
Okay.
You could have a majority and not have your 4 votes.
Okay.
So you need 4 votes.
Okay, thank you for telling us that, because
Thank
I wasn't thinking of that. We hardly ever have had 2 people
Right,
missing.
right.
Right.
That's interesting. Yes, sir, you had your hand up.
So, in a just comment, but I really feel that,
Interesting.
tonight's gonna be unanimous. We need to be
long.
We need to be unanimous tonight on whatever we decide, because I think that shows unity and it shows the message to the general public where we stand at.
Okay.
So just a thought on my thought, and I think I really feel that'll be accomplished, but I think 20 and 10, I gave a little points for 10, I can see what the points are on 20, but I do feel like the 20, you can throw a bigger number out there, because you can go out and say 26 million, or if you go out for 10, you gotta say 15 million, right?
Yeah, 14.
So-
And then we come right back and say 15 million, don't fix enough roads.
So that's what I'm being the
Right.
devil's advocate.
So-
Yeah, so I'm being the
And-
devil's advocate,
And I look at I look at what we accomplished. I'm stuck on the percentages of what roads we've touched, don't need to touch, and what roads are left to touch. And that, to me, tells the tale, because, the taxes are gonna come in no matter what we do, and if we don't do anything, our voters will still pay 6.83 mils for something that's already functioning and already working. Yes, at some point it will run out, because I had a few people, and bring that issue up, I had a few people who think they're going to wait out city government and just, and I had people ask me about 4 or 5 millages. When does this one come off? And they really think they're gonna, and sometimes, I'm an old guy, but sometimes they're 80 years old saying, well, when all these millages run off, my taxes will go down. And I'm thinking, okay, I hope that plan works for you. Because, the problem is, those things that we are paying for were all essential. We didn't waste any money. So when those millages run off and there is no more money for roads, there is no more money for sewer, there is no more money for Parks and Rec, and then you're going to sit there and say, boy, I live in this place doesn't take care of itself. You know, you can't have it both ways. So this is a good use of money, and if it's 10 or 20 years, the one great thing about roads is you see them, touch them, feel them. You drive them every day. Your car definitely touches and sees them. So it's something that it's one of the few things. We put in $11.9 million in the sewer. It's all on the ground. You don't see it. You notice if it doesn't work, but it's too late at that point. So, you know, roads are something that, to me, everybody sees where their money went. And that's really important. And sometime in government, it's hard to show people, you know, this is exactly where it went to. Because that's something that people ask us all the time. Where'd the money go?
Right.
You know, what'd you do with it?
Right.
Yes, sir.
So I just use an example that this council committed in, and if you didn't see it, I mean, we chose to go out on a limb on this Pepperplex deal and create a TIF tax and fund it. And why did we do that? Because we heard the voice that said, we want to be like Youngsville. We want to play, you know, we want to be like Young. We want to be, so what did we do? We took that message, we ran with it, and we have accomplished. We're getting great feedback. So what do I hear? I want traffic circles like Youngsville. I want roads like Broussard. What are they paying? They're not paying what we're paying. So if you want it, just what you said, let's invest in our community. Let's invest in our community and put the money to good work, and we can show that we can get it done. So the other question I have for you is, 20 years, what percentage of roads you figure close that we can get done versus 10?
Well, 12.5 is doing 20 in today's numbers. So,
Just rough about.
yeah, so close to 40, you know.
Additional.
With I'd say 30, because I'm telling you, concrete now costs $200 a yard. You know, things are going to go up on it, so I don't want to ever oversell. So I'd say 30 to 35, maybe. You know, best case over 20 years.
On top of what we've done.
On the 20 that we've done. Now, because it's a road, and remember, this is all a revolving, it's a death spiral. You can't get out of it. The 20 we haven't touched that are good, by the time you finish the 35, those 20 will be on that list to be done, and you still didn't get to, 15. So you're never going to get out of this. The one thing that everybody needs to realize is it's a giant circle and a giant cycle, and you're never going to get out of it. So we'll always have probably 30% of our roads, no matter how aggressive we get, that we need to work on. But we got into a position where we needed to do 80% of our roads. So you'll never get out of the trap. You'll always have to spend money on roads. Just got to do it as wisely as you can and make sure that that's a priority. You know?
And this money could be used on some existing roads to help extend longevity of them, correct?
Yeah, I kind of think that yes, a combination of that. Yeah, we still have. I think that for this first 10-year bond, it's going to be a repeat performance of what we're going through right now. Tearing up roads, milling asphalt roads, jackhammering concrete roads. We kind of exactly the same, because we have at least another 20% that are as bad a shape as the ones we're addressing right now. So hit repeat for the first money for sure, Yep. Yes, sir.
Since the paper come out with this meeting,
Uh-huh.
I've had 3 phone calls. Same 3 I get for every darn tax you might want to put up. You better not vote for and with people that can afford it. But they're on fixed income now. Big dog people. But they want to save their money to give to their kids. They don't want to dig out their pocket for more and more. We're going to have to find a way to sell them. We're not trying to take it for 20 years. I'm with you, Rick. Maybe give them a little point about 10 years. How we can swing that selling point, at least get 10 years better than nothing. If we go for 20 and do not get it, we lost the battle. So we can at least try. I'm with you, Rick. 10 years, give them a little bit of an option that we're not going for the big ball of wax of 20 years. But it's a certain, they have a lot of people in this town that do not want to give up. They know the taxes. I don't know where they come from. They own businesses and all. But man, as soon as they're retired, that's it. I have this money coming in. I don't want you to dig in my pocket no more. So I'm with the 10-year thing. And I hope we vote on 10 years, at least we giving them a break of not going the whole 20. But I think 10 will be easy to sell.
Mayor?
And I got a lot of, I mean, it's bad getting those calls every time a tax comes up. No. It's hard to go against some of the people. I live by them and all. And look, it's hard to face them every day. But I still go with the flow of the council, and I want to see the city grow. Yeah, we need to fix some streets, but 10 years, that's a pretty long time. We can do some fixing in that time and give it a chance.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, when we educate our constituents, we need to definitely let them know that the 6.83 is not gonna go away. You know, it's just being allocated for something. So it's never gonna be lower. You know, no matter what we say, 10 or 20, it's not gonna go down. That 6.8 is not gonna go down. It's not gonna go away. And that's what we need to do when we educate, tell them that when we educate, it's just not gonna go away. And most taxes, I mean the millage, like for the school board, it's 20 years. We have beautiful schools. That was 20 years ago. Now it's up again. But that was a long time, you know, that they didn't even have to worry about it. The money was coming in, and it was allocated to build those buildings. So this money would be allocated to redo our roads and also to maintain them. And 10 years to me going through this whole thing again, it's going to be a hassle for another administration again. So I'm for going the long term, the 20 years, because that's usually what the, you know, what the millages go to, the 20 years.
You don't have an investment
Okay.
product on Wall Street that just lasts 10 years. Everything is 20 years or 59 and a half. And tell them invest in their roads for their children for the future.
I
Tell
tried
them that.
everything.
No, but tell them, say invest in the roads and give your children some nice roads.
Change the
Watch this,
messenger.
so they can stay here and take care of the property and the businesses that you left on.
They dead set.
You gotta tell them.
One at a time.
Let's me and you go visit them.
Are you really,
Jeff had his hand
are
up.
you really gonna get that grumpy old man vote
No.
by cutting it to 10 years?
No,
No,
Your buddies are gonna vote no anyway.
correct.
Yeah.
They vote no at 5 years.
They'll vote for no any tax.
That's right.
well, then
That's
there you
right.
go. And look, our
right.
22.96 mils is low. You know, if the standard is Youngsville and Broussard and Lafayette, their millages are they double us, okay? So our millages are really low, and to run the city of New Iberia, you know, I'm a business guy. Before I got here, I was like, you know, the same way. I never voted for taxes, and government was a waste, and, you know, what are they doing with my money? And let me tell you, after you get in and you realize the amount of things we have to do, these roads is one issue. Okay, when you look at the total package we bring in of 22.96, we're doing a whole lot with not that much money when you look at what our neighbors are doing, that we are held to that standard. Well, you know, if you, and we have, you know, 60 families in Sugar Mill Pond. That's in Youngsville, if anybody doesn't know. And we have, you know, people that have bailed out of here, and they're the same people who probably didn't want to pay the low millage here, but they're willing to pay, you know, double over there.
Right.
So you get to a point that a no-tax person is going to be a no-tax person no matter what.
And if you play not to lose, you're gonna lose.
That's exactly right. And that is part of the thing is, you know, if we're here to fix this place, to stop the people from leaving, to have something to leave for our kids, to have something to grow New Iberia that we talk about all the time. I didn't say it was easy, and I didn't say our job was easy,
Take an investment.
but, you know, it's an investment,
That's right.
you know? And if you look, because this is going to come, and it's all part of it, okay? We spend, because I calculated it, we spend $1.3 million on road repair a year. And we have a small road millage, and it brings $800,000 a year. So I'm in the hole, you know, $500,000 just from the start. So when people come and say you already have a road tax, and I say, yeah, that we are outspending it by $500,000 a year. When you look at our current road bond, they're going to say we have money in your sales tax account, okay? it costs us $1 million a year for the $12.5 million that we have borrowed. All right, and that road, that 1960 tax has to pay for the 11.9 in the sewer, has to pay for, the police tax doesn't pay the whole police. We have to make up the difference. The fire tax that they have placed for raises and benefits doesn't pay for anything else. So all the overhead and running and the equipment and everything else, that's coming out of that same sales tax. Anything we do in the parks, coming out that same sales tax. Anything that the sewer department doesn't bring in, and the sewer department is one of our healthy departments, but it still has a loss, comes out of that 1960 tax. So we barely have enough to address all the issues if you're going to fix things. If you want to run this place and be in the profit picture and not leverage anything and take any chances, you can do it. You don't fix any roads. You don't worry about the sewer. You get yourself in a consent decree. You go down. We already been down those paths, okay? We have already, I'm not blaming anybody, but we've already been down the path of, yes, we have a little money, but let's not take any chances. Let's be a good, caretaker of this place, and let's just sit back and not do anything. And your citizens leave, and you wonder why your kids don't come back from college, and you wonder why your businesses leave, or you have problems retaining or attracting new businesses. This is one of the biggest selling points, are your roads. So it's the bigger picture, but I don't want, and I'm ready this time, okay? Last time they threw all this stuff at me, and I just thought, well, I'm not going to pick a fight. I'm an old man, and I finally learned I don't have to show up for every fight I'm invited to, okay? Well, this is one I'm going to show up for this time. And all of these tax things and all the reasons to vote no, I'm telling you, we're going to have it prepped and ready to say, you want the real picture? Then get your head out from wherever it is, and let me show you how it really is working. So this is something that's needed, and regardless of how we do it, this is our last shot to do it. For this administration, because I don't think we're going to come for round 3. I'm not a quitter, but this is, after round 2, we'll probably have to hang it up. So this is really our only issue. I mean, we have a simplified wording that we like, so, and we only have till Tuesday. So we are going to have to, craft the resolution and put a time limit on it. Yes, sir.
We do have to vote on the time limit attached to this resolution.
Yeah, look.
We don't want to have to meet again.
No, we are filling out what we're trying to do tonight. The last time I brought something blank, it didn't work that good, but this is a different situation, okay? What we need to do tonight is craft the wording with the timeline and vote on it so that we can send Jason on his way and meet our Tuesday deadline.
So, since I got the floor, I think I'd like to get the mayor's opinion on where he feels comfortable on selling this on the term side. Because I'd like the council to vote unanimously on one term. I don't want to be split on this, in my opinion. So I think the mayor, give us your opinion on where you think, and I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, I don't care.
I mean, you said the council's choice.
They don't give me a thing to vote, but they gave me a microphone.
I think you said it's up to the council, but I think it's up to all of us, including yourself. And I think you feel you prejudge something that you feel comfortable. Where you think we can get the biggest, selling point, and we've heard from both sides. And I'd like to be unanimous on the vote, and I think it means a lot to the people.
In my opinion, I would go for the 20 years. And my thing is, one, it shows that we are conscious of the future and that we are planning to fix as much of the percentage of roads as we can. And I firmly believe that the people who are voting no, and the people who have called me already, who are they're good friends of mine, who voted no last time, have informed me they're going to vote no this time. And, I asked one of them, I said, well, yeah, but you'd vote no for every tax. Yeah, that's right. I will vote no for every tax. So I think if it's 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years, we're not going to convince those people that have it in their mind. They're done. Some of them, look, I'm getting to be a grumpy old man, but some of them are just done. I'm not making any more money. I'm not running a business. I understand just what you're saying. But they just checked out. They're very nice people. And I love their contribution to our community. I don't want to go anywhere. But on the flip side, they're not looking at it like we have to look at it, of trying to promote and grow a city and bring new businesses and change this place. They love this place as much as we do, but I think they're very happy with it staying exactly like it is. When you sit up here, you come with a new set of lenses. You come looking through the lenses of how can I make this place better? Why did I get involved in this? Why am I passionate about this? To make this place better. To leave something behind that's better than when we got here. Well, if you're gonna do that, then I think you go for the whole thing, because I don't know how to convince your friends, Mr. Broussard, how you convince them to vote yes, no matter what. All we can do is go after the people that were uneducated, and I'll take the blame for that, the people that thought it was a new tax, or the people that just said, you know, Freddie, and look, they told me that to my face. I would have voted for that, but I just voted no for every amendment. I didn't read any of them. When I got to the amendments, I just hit no for every one. We went to the election to vote for Higgins or whoever, but he was one of the ones on the ballot, and I heard that, okay? And so they said, well, when I got to the rest of that, you know, I just X'd it off. I mean, I had a couple look at me and say, sorry, Freddie, if we had known, you know, if it meant that much to you, you put your desk on the sidewalk, we would have voted yeah. And I said, no, but what about the roads? And they said, well, yeah, you know, you're right. Our roads are junk. You know, we probably would have voted for that, but we didn't even read it. So that's the people we're trying to reach. If we can bring along some of our older friends or grumpier friends or anti-tax friends, I want to do it. But on the flip side, if we can't, our mission for this is to bring along, you know, 50 plus one. It just takes one. And we're only doing this, we're not greedy. We get nothing out the deal, except some grief and some more work. But what we're trying to do is, you know, provide for our town. So if it was up to me, I think I could go with the 20, not look back, because I don't know how to convince those people otherwise. And the 20 gives us a long-term plan. Look at this. The frontage road was 1.6 million, okay? Only as an example. We're not talking about the frontage road tonight, but it was 1.6 million. Well, we didn't build it. That was when I was the pro tem. Now it's 4 million. Brooks project was 1.9 million, okay? You know how much it is? We have the money. Don't get all freaked. That's coming. It's a $3 million project, okay? Because we waited. Because as time goes on, things will never not cost more. So to wait and say, yeah, we'll catch that next time, you're only going to spend more money. So to me, you grab as much as you can to do the most good in the most economical way you can, as fast as you can. Everybody's always telling me to slow down. Well, it costs too much to slow down.
Absolutely correct.
So anyway, that's my opinion, but I am happy to do whatever y'all want, and whatever we vote on, I will push it either way with the same passion. You know? Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we support the language that Jason interpreted, adding 20 years to the time.
I second.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gosselin and a second by, it's like I'm not getting back in the game. It's been pretty relaxed. Councilwoman Deidre Ledbetter. Any discussion on this motion? We have no discussion on the motion, but we've been talking for an hour. Well, then, with no discussion, would you please vote your machines? Thank you all very much. I appreciate that. Okay, well, now we know what work we have that's cut out for us. And I am asking you, you know, to please get involved. You know, we're going to run it differently this time and really try to get out there and make people understand that what we're trying to do is something good for our entire community and their cars and their tires. Jason, you want to read it real quick, or?
I can.
Yeah,
sure.
if you don't mind.
And just to, I probably should have clarified that. Asked you to clarify this, but this also included the with the reference to the tax levied for general obligation bonds, a reduction with the tax levy for general obligation bonds, or that I mentioned early on. It seemed like that's what you intended.
I interpreted what you recited to the council as being.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, all right. That's what I heard.
That's
So let me read it.
That's what we heard.
Hey, that's what we pay you for.
Let me read it. I'll move to reconsider if I'm wrong. So.
Okay.
All right. Shall the city of New Iberia, state of Louisiana, levy a special tax of 6.83 mils on all the property subject to taxation in the city for a period of 20 years, beginning with the year 2024 and ending with the year 2043, an estimated $1,350,000 reasonably expected at this time to be collected from the levy of the tax for an entire year, for the purpose of constructing, improving, and maintaining public roads and streets in the city, provided that the amount of the tax actually levied shall be reduced by any taxes levied by the city to pay debt service on its outstanding general obligation bonds, which tax levy totaled 6.83 mils in 2023.
That states everything we discussed.
Still long.
I know.
Still super
You know,
long.
we're talking about less words, but Now if we explain the last part does give us something to hang our hat on, that it's replacing the 6.83 mils, but he can't say it, if I'm right, there's no
Right.
other way to say it.
You're right.
Just gotta educate the people. That's all
Yeah,
we can do.
I think that's it.
They're not gonna read it all.
No,
So
they won't.
they won't.
No. We just need to know that number, and I would love it to be can you make it last? Or you can't control that either.
You can ask.
We don't control it, but
I understand.
I think
try.
the odds of it being last are probably in our favor.
They are.
They are. No, because
Yeah,
Consti-
because you go
You're
down.
not gonna vote. You're not gonna vote in front of a state senator. You're not gonna vote in front of the governor. You're not gonna vote in front of the constitutional amendment.
No, probably not.
You're not. I mean, so.
Probably not. And we just need to know that as soon as we can, so that we can mark it where it is. So that those people that go, maybe we can reach, and if they're gonna vote no for all of them, they just might pull,
And
punch
get
yes
down
for
to the
that.
last one and say yes.
No, it's a really good. We
It'd be a
making.
good
It's a
spot.
good. It's a good point.
It is.
I think it's around about 120 words, 130 words right now, just kind of eyeballing it.
Okay.
Propositions can go as many as 200, so you're pretty significantly lower than many others. So.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other discussion on this? I mean, we basically did our business. Okay, then, do we have y'all wanna do councilman's remarks tonight, or wait till next week, or? Okay,
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
okay, all right.
I think that the action of this council tonight proved that in a leadership role that we're willing to go out and get our people to consider investing in our community. And with this investment, I think that we can expect good things on our roads and streets. And the end goal is for new roads and streets to bring new economic development and to pass it on to our future generations. So I think it's a win-win.
Thank you.
Oh, no,
remarks?
I'm
Okay.
passing. That was,
Okay.
Councilman Reed. She had called.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm sure something happened. Okay, announcements, what is this first one? That's for this, huh? Yeah. We have a couple of announcements. You wanna read that?
I don't have to read it again.
What's that?
I don't have to read it again unless you want me to read
Oh,
it.
you read it once already? Okay, all right, good, we good. Then our next council meeting is May the 2nd. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank y'all.